Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather. Today I'm meteorologist Al Peterlin. I'd like to talk about the weather health risk for Thursday, October 30th, 2025. We do keep additional graphics available at tpatw.com. We'll start today's briefing off with a look at the surface weather map, and of course the most center of activity will be there in the northeast, with that front mainly off the coast as it hangs south from New York all the way down to the Caribbean, but that low pressure lingering over the northeast from Pennsylvania clear on up across New England will be the center of activity for much of the day. There is a second front out in the plains, and that front itself running from Minnesota clear down to Texas is serving mainly as a dividing line between the warmer temperatures to the west and the cooler temperatures to the east. Our vitality index map, which is a composite or a measure of all of those weather elements that might impact human health, and it is wide and covering much of the states, and this is the time to be able to start looking at the levels of risk or the color coding that is on the bottom of the graphic. You'll see we have an area of interest in the Pacific Northwest, another area of interest up the plains, and then of course that most significant area in the Northeast with real intense activity from Pennsylvania on up into the southernmost portions of New England. We do have a little bit of activity here to talk about in the middle Mississippi Valley. Looking at pressure change, and this is the one weather element that seems to impact the most people, falling pressure especially, and you'll note that we have such a large area of the country covered with falling pressure for Thursday that it's time to look at again the levels of risk, with the greatest level of risk here in the Northeast from Pennsylvania, New Jersey on up into southernmost New England. But we do have falling pressure here along the Pacific coast, and again looking at the levels, it is most significantly on the coast and then moving inland. We have some level of falling pressure in Texas up into the Oklahoma Panhandle, and then up in the northern plains, the easternmost portions of the Dakotas, but then stretching all the way across the middle portion of the country, Minnesota, all the way down to Virginia, but the area most intense, again, as I said, from Pennsylvania across into New England. We have rising pressure here in the middle Mississippi Valley, Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And of course, you can see the tropical storm rising behind it down here. Looking at temperature change. This is always of interest, and especially here with rising temperatures in West Texas up into the Central Plains. And then we have some rising temperatures here in the northeastern Pennsylvania on up into New England. Dew point temperature seems to be more significant, with rising dew point temperatures here up the plains from Texas all the way to the Dakotas, rising dew point temperatures here in the northeast, where of course we have that low pressure center, falling dew point temperatures here in the southeast. Looking at vapor pressure, you can see the levels of intensity a lot more significantly here, and you can see that we have that dramatic falling vapor pressure or dew point temperatures in the southeast and especially across central Florida, and rising levels of vapor pressure or dew point temperatures here in the northeast. Looking at POI, which is our measure of the oxygen available in the atmosphere, you can see that we have a significant area of asthma and arthritis risk for Thursday, starting here in the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, mainly coastal. And while it's not a significant area of interest, you can see we have migraine risk here in the coastal California, and that is unusual for California, so we have quite a bit of migraine risk here in coastal California, that is. Jumping back to the asthma and arthritis risk, we have a significant area of asthma and arthritis risk here in southern Texas, and running on up the plains, picking up again here in the easternmost portions of the Dakotas. We have a significant area of asthma and arthritis risk across the Northeast, but really most intense and real time to look at that level of graphic across eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, upstate New York, and then on into New England. Back to migraine risk, we have a significant area of migraine risk here in the northernmost ranges of Montana. We have a migraine risk across the middle Mississippi and southeast, Alabama and Mississippi, kept moving on into Tennessee and Kentucky, but a really significant area of migraine risk across coastal North Carolina, almost all of South Carolina, picking up through southern Georgia, and then a significant migraine risk across Florida. Thanks for visiting The Patient and the Weather today. Your comments are appreciated, and if you hurt, tell us where you're located.